Welcome to Sino Warfare with Ralph D. Sawyer. The estrangement measures previously discussed in our spy talks normally achieve their objectives through disinformation, but they may also employ innuendo or the deceptive manipulation of circumstances and the interpretation of events. Not only do they target influential members of the enemy's court and valued field commanders, but also allies and supporters. The more astute practitioners also employed facades to enhance the believability of slanders, and they undertook various concrete efforts to confirm the apparent veracity of false accusations. Although estrangement measures were employed early on in Greece and in China in the spring and autumn period, explicit discussions emerged only in China, where considerable impetus was provided by the conflict between Wu and Yue, which we previously discussed, and then by Qin's conscious employment during their struggle to subjugate the realm. Slander and false accusations often succeeded in the court's poisonous atmosphere, and they were easily arranged. But forged letters and adroitly crafted rumors frequently proved more effective in subverting influential officials and removing successful commanders. According to the Caolu Jingle, quote, the enemy's allies, their capable ministers, and defectors from our state can all cause us concern. You must therefore employ deceit, way, to estrange them, to cause doubt and suspicion to suddenly arise, and punishments and executions to be widely applied. The text 2 chapters on estrangement advise exploiting disinformation and taking advantage of pre-existing circumstances. Now, in traditional China, military and bureaucratic achievement tended to end in punishment and disgrace because the jealous quickly accused the successful of having committed various offenses, even of plotting to defect or rebel. So the chapter Estrange the Enemy, which discusses how to do this, includes 6 examples in which rumors and forged letters brought about the dismissal, even the death of targeted individuals. The chapter then concludes by stating, quote, estrangement agents can be writing, rumors, speech, or affairs. They all take advantage of fissures, among others, and must be skillfully implemented. Now, no doubt the initial shock and anger that resulted from hearing a well-favored individual might be ambitious or disloyal facilitated having the disinformation accepted as genuine. And historical incidents show that forged letters were particularly effective in misleading people and providing supposedly incontrovertible evidence of betrayal, despite any discordance with reality. The only difficulties were found to be the need to obtain a sample of the person's calligraphic style, especially if it was distinctive, and finding someone skillful enough to successfully imitate it. It's therefore not surprising that people commonly resorted to simple missives from an unexpected or suspicious sender, or a letter doctored to look suspicious rather than attempting to forge one. In prefacing the selections included in his chapter, Forged Letters Deceive the Enemy, Ye Mengsheng states, quote, I think that apart from those possessing the discernment of superior wisdom, none can perceive the interstice between doubt and semblance and illuminate the perverse. Since they can't be fathomed, how much more so for written materials? If vestiges can bring about doubt, will the enemy's mind not be deluded? Now, the insight provided by the Chinese military writings, such as the Caolu Jingle, that the intended target must suffer from some kind of character deficiency or be dominated by jealousy and hypocrisy, as we previously discussed, might also be recalled. Whether out of a fear or an unwillingness to confront slanderers and subverters, many astute leaders and Chinese emperors quickly succumbed, not to mention the besotted and the opaque. False information can also be conveyed by documents intended to be retrieved or forcibly captured by the enemy that subvert the loyalty and credibility of officials or contain false information about plans and intentions. The seemingly accidental nature of their acquisition normally confers their reliability. However, this sort of fortuitousness can prompt suspicion among the astute, especially when critical documents are gained through variations of the so-called haversack ruse. Considerable craft must therefore be employed to ensure a positive reception. Various inventive means were conceived in China, though never anything as elaborate as the dramatic case of William Martin, who was posthumously co-opted into the role of a British military courier in the famous World War II case of the man who never was. Nevertheless, cases are known in which the veracity of false information was enhanced by using one of the forms of clandestine communication developed over the centuries in China. When the document was discovered and its meaning either ferreted out or forcibly coerced from a hapless messenger, no one could possibly doubt its truthfulness. Now, in China, disinformation wasn't just externally oriented, but it also played a crucial role in stimulating and maintaining the army's combat spirit. Because fervor and commitment are crucial to battlefield success, commanders determinedly sought to prevent baleful omens, rumors, and information about enemy victories and their own reverses from adversely affecting the soldiers. Employing the principles and discoveries of China's sophisticated psychology of qi, they therefore aggressively countered them, as well as the effects of other inimical developments. In accord with Sun's belief, that generals should not allow anyone, not even their own commanders, to fathom their thoughts and strategies, it was also believed that the army should be kept ignorant of all developments. While partly intended to preclude unfounded speculation and pernicious rumors, it was more a question of deceiving the troops in order to prevent fear and to increase their courage. Writing at the end of the 11th century, He Chufei concluded, "The marvelousness of employing the military lies not just in deceiving the enemy, but also in stupefying the eyes and ears of our own troops." And the Tobi Futan contains the most extensive discussion of the need for misinformation in the face of inimical indications. Quote, "No one who commands the three armies can allow the men's minds to be doubtful or fearful. No commander whose troops suffered from increasing doubt and fear has ever been able to recover. Therefore, accidental changes that cause the troops to be blind or deluded, as well as sudden oddities that cause them to be shaken and fearful, can only be resolved through reason. You can have our people know the auspicious, but not the baleful, see advantage, but not harm. What they are not allowed to know or see cannot block up their ears or eyes. It's just a matter of deceiving them, that's all." When ignorance and rational explanations prove insufficient, confident pronouncements by commanders or high officials, including claims of victory in another sector, or problems besetting the enemy, or the imminent arrival of reinforcements, often succeed in quashing fear and doubt. Furthermore, when they're shouted out on the battlefield, they sometimes have a secondary, highly beneficial effect of causing doubt in the enemy's forces, or depressing their spirit. Since rumors spread quickly, and prisoners and deserters are likely to naively convey them to their captors, even supposedly secret information can acquire a life of its own. At the same time, accusing the enemy of boasting brutality and atrocities can be employed to inflame otherwise despondent troops. Whether on the battlefield or simply encamped, resourceful commanders have also reported having received secret letters, even waved phony documents about it in evidence, and claimed that auspicious indications were given to them through dreams or prognostications. Even though the fervency of the soldiers' belief might vary, they generally felt the spirits could affect the course of events, and they feared omens and the adverse results obtained from divination. Despite a lengthy heritage of attempted demystification, inimical signs and inauspicious days still managed to complicate and hinder aggressive actions throughout Chinese history. Rather than attempting to directly debunk such phenomena, which was the usual course, some inventive commanders claimed to be enjoying the blessings of spiritual assistants, local deities, or numinous advisors. A few, such as the famous unorthodox commander Tian Dan, who extricated Jimo after a multi-year siege during the Warring States period by claiming to have a spirit advisor, concocted elaborate charades and supporting actions. In Tiandan's case, having the populace deliberately leave their offerings out attracted huge flocks of birds, which in turn puzzled and troubled their enemies, who became frightened at the prospect of having to battle both men and other worldly forces. False information thus assumed many forms and had a multitude of purposes, including frightening the enemy into withdrawing or, conversely, foolishly mounting an attack. Commanders sometimes had rumors of their own deaths circulated and spread the misinformation that they had suffered little harm after being wounded while continuing to act heroically, just as Liu Bang did during his successful quest to establish the Han Dynasty. Misinformation about the imminent arrival of a second army, especially when one was known to be in the field, coerced enemies into withdrawing, while also bolstering the army's spirit. Forces in besieged cities were even tricked into sallying forth when they became convinced rescue forces would immediately arrive. In the ploy of pseudo-vulnerability, false information was also spread about various weaknesses within the army, such as disaffection, famine, illness, and the dissolute character of the commander and officers. And in its most extreme and duplicitous form, generals feigned being compelled to seek a truce or to surrender, to buy time and induce laxity. Thus, the 100 Unorthodox Strategies admonishes commanders to remain wary, saying, quote, "Whenever you are engaged in battle, if the enemy suddenly comes forth to surrender, you must investigate whether it's real or feigned." A tactical principle states, "Treat an enemy's surrender as you would an attack." It even goes on to advocate the ploy's use in a rather remarkable passage with contemporary implications. Whenever about to engage an enemy in battle, first dispatch some emissaries to discuss a peace treaty. Even though the enemy assents to the talks, the way you each understand the language of the proposals is invariably not the same. Then, relying upon their indolence and laxity, select elite troops and suddenly strike them, for their army can be destroyed. Finally, although signals intelligence had yet to develop, all the armies used drums, gongs, flags, and pennants to initiate and direct the soldiers' actions on the battlefield. As a result, commanders were able to order crucial actions like advancing and retreating, turning, segmenting, reforming, and even the pace of movement. Distinctive flags indicated the formation to employ, as well as any subsequent transformation. Most of the signals were highly conventional, such as drums for advancing and attacking, while the rest, such as the meaning of huge battle flags, could be quickly fathomed. On the expectation the enemy had deciphered the meaning of the army's signals, a few commanders astutely changed their meaning and thereby deceived their enemies with highly visible disinformation. In the simplest case, the significance of group drum beats might be shuffled, so that 2 beats meant shift left instead of right, and 4 a measured rather than a rapid pace. Equally, the gongs could be used to sound an advance rather than a retreat, as normally, and the drums a retreat, reversing time-honored tradition. As always, thank you for watching.